Hi. I'm hoping I'm not on the dreaded mute, so I'm hoping you can all hear me already this morning. Good, excellent. Nice to see so many people, and I'm sure that other people will dip in as we get started. So thanks for joining remotely. Some of you might know that actually we're pretty well set up for these things now when we have to go to remote working, and we encourage everyone to participate as much as possible. So if you're happy to have your video on, if your Wi-Fi supports it, that's awesome to be able to see you. And there'll be questions and answers at any point. And it's lovely to see so many familiar faces, actually. Thanks for being part of this. So we thought it would be helpful to run through how you make the most of your membership. Laura, who you can see on the Guernsey Chamber link, who is our new Associate Director, has done a survey which showed that people do like Chamber, they engage with Chamber, but they're not entirely certain how to make the most of their membership. And that was a really helpful feedback for us. So we thought it was a good time to come out to you and say, this is what you can do. What would you like to ask us? And obviously we're about to send out the invitations to renew 2022. So it's timely also. For your information, Chamber continues to grow massively. It was around the 500 mark actually about 3 years ago when Barry Baxter and I reshaped it. It's now around the 700 corporate mark, which means we've got 2/3 of the working population in Chamber. And that's the biggest business organisation in the island. In fact, the second biggest is the civil service. And we work with civil service, and we love to think that they are also part of the sort of Chamber community broadly, because we do engage with them. I think that the simplest way of engaging with Chamber, and it does sound simplistic, but actually it works really well, is to come to some of these things, to engage with us on this level, because as soon as you get people together, we've always said at the most basic level, just bringing people together. And even when it's virtual and we communicate in this way, interesting things happen. I mean, you get to know other people, you hear information, you get business support, but actually you also get an opportunity to talk about your business. And I'd like to think that Chamber always provides that opportunity. We would never seek to sort of just present things or talk at you. It's always a two-way exchange, and we always welcome that. I love the dynamic element of that. So at its simplest, attend these virtual meetings, attend the physical ones when we have those. And I think there's a sort of inherent modesty actually, where people are almost too polite to share their business cards, talk about their business. So we actually quite often at the start of any get together say, as I will do now, you please reach out to us. If you want to be put in touch with people, let us know. And when you are physically in the same space, don't hesitate to actually share your cards and discuss your business. Everyone is fascinated to know more about what you do. And actually at heart, Chamber's all about people. It's all about the individuals. And although we bring the businesses under that umbrella, I'm really proud of the fact that we are very people-based and we provide individual support also. So the other message and the other opportunity of many actually to make the most of your Chamber membership is to encourage different people from your organisation to engage with us. And we do have that depending on the topic, but it's a really valuable way of the whole team that you're involved with finding out more about what we do, because different elements will appeal to different parts of the business, and obviously different individuals have different skill sets that they can talk about. So that first sort of making the most of your membership is that very simple engagement piece. And we usually even throw in lunch and coffee. And apologies for the lack of bacon rolls this morning, but we will get back there, I'm sure. The second thing to be aware of is that we have really tangible benefits, and you should all have had your PDF pack with the member discounts in them. Alex, who's the membership exec at Chamber, can send that to you if you haven't had them, but you certainly should have done when you signed up. And that's actually quite a substantial offer in terms of actual discounts and business to business offers, which we put together and we add to constantly. And together with your membership, you would have had a website login. So the website actually is a very active part of Chamber. I'll be honest, it's not quite as showbiz as I would like, but we are a not-for-profit. And so we work with the WordPress framework that we have, but we have just invested in it, and we've included a much better CRM system and a forum, which is really exciting because the forum looks a bit like Facebook chat, Facebook engagement, where very shortly from January, you'll be able to go onto the forum as a member. You'll be able to upload documents. You'll be able to chat in real time. You'll be able to engage with other people very easily. And we think that's probably a bit that's been missing, in honesty, up until now. But given the sort of scale of revamp in the last 3 years, we had to prioritize certain things, and that was not top of the list, even though it's now been completed. And actually, we're really grateful to Ben Jones for doing a lot of work at Refresh. He's helped us hugely with that. So make sure that you've got your website login. That requires a password. Don't hesitate if you have forgotten your password or you're not quite sure who your login is if you're a company rather than a sole trader. You just have to email membership@Guernsey Chamber, and Alex will help you to reset it. And there is no limit to what you can upload there. Again, this modest approach comes in, I think, where some people think, yeah, but I put a piece up last week. I can't put something else up. No, not the case at all. The more you put up, the happier we are. And that screen, that news screen, runs in date order. So, you know, the more you refresh, the more you put up fresh pieces, the higher your presence on that landing page. And obviously that helps you, because even though you can click into member news and we have a lot of hits, it's great to have that instant presence on the site. If you put out any social comms, please let us know. We will always try to find them, and we will reshare them and tag and hashtag as many associated businesses as we can think of for you. But it always helps to just ping an email to office@Guernsey Chamber, to Laura, and say, look, I've got this campaign running. I'd appreciate it if you could share it for us. So again, that is a very tangible element of support, and one which I think, when you're busy, and we respect that a lot of you are incredibly busy, it can be the thing that drops off the to-do list, because it's the thing that can be pushed back while very urgent things are dealt with. But please be aware, it's a very simple thing to just email office and say, can you put this out for me? We've got over 3,000 people following us on Twitter. We've got, in addition to 3,000 on our e-newsletter database, and we have a strong following on other social platforms. So it's an instant and strong way for you to message, and we're always delighted for you to do that. So those are the very simple things that you can do. And I think that perhaps one area that the survey showed that we don't promote strongly enough is an opportunity to engage around work streams. Some of you may know, in fact, I know some of you do know because you engage, you know, Chamber is all about business support. And so we regularly engage with politicians, with civil servants, with other business organisations. In fact, we are entirely collaborative. There's no one that we don't work with. So whether it's a trade group or, you know, a particular working party for the states on a topic, we will be engaging with them. But because we always represent the business view, excuse me, because we always represent the business view, we always go to the membership. And we always have to come back with the majority view on particular topics. Now, to get that, we quite often survey, but we also invite members to feed into the working groups that we have, the industry groups. So there's a real opportunity for you to bring your expertise to these groups. And we're hugely grateful for that. I mean, we as the Chamber HQ team are very small. We have about 120 volunteers in the industry groups that we rely on to actually put out information and to receive information on particular topics. And for example, the tax review has been a huge piece of work for Chamber. It has involved many of our industry leads, and we've gone out to various trade organisations, and particularly obviously the finance sector. And that is really relevant for everyone doing business in Guernsey. You know, if GST had come in at the point that it was being recommended in some state quarters, that would have had a massive impact on all business. And I'm not saying that we were for or against it at that point, but my point is that we needed business feedback to know what you wanted and what would impact you and what your suggestions were. So it's always fantastic if you're able to engage with the industry groups. And we've had to recognise that actually some of the information around how you do that hasn't been as clear as it could be. So please email us and let us know which areas you're interested in. But these groups are everything from blue economy to retail to hospitality to working parties around specifics. At the moment, we're looking at secondary pensions. We will be engaging around that. And again, for small business, although it's desirable to have secondary pensions, there is a cost around that. So we will be going out to the membership and saying, what do you think about this? You know, can you afford it given the really difficult business climate around COVID? So be aware that you can easily engage with us. Through that engagement, quite often it will lead to speaker opportunities because we get to know you, we get to know your insight and your expertise in a particular area. And we're always looking for lunch and learn speakers. At a different level, we do the OGH lunches, as you will all know, I'm sure, on fairly major topics, but we also include a CSR element. So you might be a sole trader in a particular retail sector, but you might also have a passion for a charity or a third sector group that you volunteer with. We're happy to listen to that. Whatever the connection you bring, just talk to us about what you'd like to highlight, what you'd like to represent. And then I suppose the other opportunity actually, which we can offer and which is a fantastic showcase for your business, is that we have our own magazine. Contact is 100 pages and it comes out twice a year. We do this publication with the Guernsey Press, and I can see that Mandy Eulenkamp is on the in the session, so thank you for that. We do most of the writing in-house, and it's slightly terrifying how quickly that comes around at twice a year with 100 pages, but it's also very exciting to be able to offer it. So if you think, actually, I've been working on something which is of real community or business interest, and it would make a page, please reach out to us and tell us, because we'd be delighted to consider it. We can't do blatant advertorial content in the editorial section, but you know, so many businesses are doing fantastic work for the benefit of everyone that we would definitely look at whether we can include you. And that doesn't have to be in what we might consider to be sort of mainstream business areas. So health and well-being, creativity are also equally important to Chamber, as many of you will know, because we think that that sort of whole holistic approach to business, looking after your staff, making sure that people are well, making sure that you bring lateral thinking to business, which is a creative process, is all a really important part of what we see as business life in Guernsey. And in fact, demand for health and well-being support and events is very strong and has been for the last 2 years with the whole uncertainty landscape around COVID. And, you know, working from home has its benefits, but as someone said to me, it feels as though I'm living at work. It is what happens if you're not careful. You know, the last time we were all doing this, it's quite difficult to escape from work when you work from home. So reach out to us and let us help if you're in a situation where you feel you would like to discuss anything around how you're working and what you're working on. We do factor in the sort of caring side of the business environment. It's not just about it's certainly not just about the bottom line. So you have that opportunity, and that's twice a year. But on a monthly basis, we have 6 pages in Business Brief, which we are really grateful for. That's through our agreement with the press again. And we are solely responsible for that content. So 6 pages at about 500, 600 words per page on a topic that we choose each month. And we would really love to have your thoughts and your offers of content for some of those. Each month tends to have a theme. And in fact, Mandy has very kindly sent me the themes for 2022. So we could, if she's happy, we could circulate those so that you can all be aware of what would be particularly relevant. But it doesn't have to be tied to the theme. You know, if there's something topical that we're involved in or is happening in the island at any given time, we will use those pages. And we really appreciate the short lead time for those, because we can work with our most topical items in those publications. And they all go out digitally now. So, I mean, my background is publishing, and it wasn't that long ago that you had to have the hard copy of the magazine in front of you to be able to enjoy it, and your audience was limited to that distribution. But of course, now through electronic distribution, you can message internationally. I find that hugely exciting. Contact goes out. We know that it's delivered to 7,000 people here, but it goes out online and it can be read anywhere. Same with Business Brief. So for you as chamber members, that's a fantastic opportunity to get your business profile out internationally, and it's free. So I suppose that really the main focus at Chamber is always, because we're mostly a small to medium-sized business, is how can we help everybody, and how can we help them with as little resource required from them as possible, because everybody's working really hard, and how can we do it in as low cost a way as possible, because particularly in recent years, budgets have been really tight. And honestly, I don't think 2022 is going to be much different, much as I hate to say it. I think it's going to be another difficult trading year. But that tends to make Chamber even more important in the business landscape. We know that from the last 2 years, that approaches to us and membership levels have been really strong, because, you know, whether it's helping you to prepare a submission for some form of support, which we're happy to do, or listening to how you might like to take some elements of your business online, or considering whether you might start offering some sort of delivery service or more tailored way of getting your business advice or services out, we can assist with all of that. And we know that, you know, in the last 2 years, particularly obviously retail, hospitality and a lot of services have been affected. And in fact, the service element has been slightly overlooked, I think, not by Chamber, but sometimes by the state sector. You know, when you are a health therapist, or you've been offering a small business enterprise that relies on people being in your premises, it's been really tough for a couple of years. And so we can help. We don't give specific advice in financial terms, but we're certainly happy to listen and to see how generally we can support you. That's all part of the Chamber package. And I think that, you know, overall, I suppose our approach really is to just make it as easy as possible for you to acquire new clients and to maintain the business that you already have. I always say to people, it's not complex. It's just about bringing people together who have the right expertise to help you, or the right audience to grow your business. And we're always available to discuss that, as well as providing the tangible benefits that we give to everyone. I think what we probably will be doing also more of 2022 and going forward is to actually go out to the membership specifically to say, you know, this is what we're doing, this is what we're working on, and these are the work streams, but what specifically would you like us to take a look at? That's quite a challenge with an organisation the size of ours and the diversity of ours, because, for instance, at the moment, the airport runway debate is very much a topic in the news. It's not high on the list for our membership. They're too busy trying to deal with the impact of the trading environment at the moment, but it is something that we need to get a consensus opinion on. And the last time we surveyed, it showed clearly that the membership felt that it wasn't something that needed to be taking up a lot of political time at the moment, or for that spend to be considered. Now, it might be that in the past year, with COVID and the fact that we've had the benefit of a state-owned airline, or not everyone sees that as a benefit, I know, but we did have transport links. It might be that perspective has changed. So we will go out to you again and say, what's your position now? You know, do you think that we need to be easily reachable with any airline in any circumstance? So again, we're quite, I like to think we're quite agile. We will change our focus, our work streams and our efforts for you at quite short notice on occasion to try to provide the best support. And when we went into the first lockdown, we had to get to grips with, you know, online meetings, online events, which I'm sure all of you also had to do. And I think it was possibly a bit clunky at first. I like to think that we're pretty slick at it now, and it's great to see so many of you in the session. So lockdown or working from home actually doesn't massively impact what we do. We're always on the telephone, we're always on email, and we're always running events. So in terms of membership benefit, it doesn't actually hugely impact the effectiveness of you being part of the chamber team, because of course all the comms are busier than ever because everyone's sat in front of a screen. So it's sort of, sadly, it's almost a positive in that sense that we get a lot more activity in that way when we are in the situation that we're in. And it's no one's choice, is it? We'd all like to be standing in a room having our Christmas party and sharing a glass of fizz, but in navigating a way through to finding how to make the best of where we are, these things do work. I think that probably the tangible benefits pack is something that we know that some people do take up the discounts, but I don't think a huge number of you are doing so. And I think if we perhaps go back to the people who are making the offers, it would be an idea to distribute that information a bit more widely. The other thing that you can do, which is a much more minor point, but which we're quite proud of, is that we send a digital stamp. We used to do interesting sticky sort of, you are a member of chamber squares that you stuck in your window. But when I came in, I felt that lots of people didn't have windows because they worked completely flexibly. So that didn't help them. And also environmentally, it wasn't great. So we went to a digital stamp that you can put on your email signature. Proud to be a member of Guernsey Chamber. And so, you know, it's quite a nice association to be able to message. Beyond Guernsey, as a chamber member, external relations are a big part of what we're doing. And in fact, it's a major focus in 2022. So Chamber has an ability to seamlessly link with British Chamber of Commerce, which in itself is huge, but with other chambers around the world. And there are a whole host of from the International Chamber of Commerce, the Commonwealth Chamber of Commerce, and obviously chambers of commerce in any town, any city, any part of the world. So we have a very simple way of reaching out and raising Guernsey's profile. And I am especially interested in that. I think Guernsey's an amazing place, and the potential to raise the Guernsey brand is substantial. I think there's still a lot of work that we as Chamber can do around that. But of course, as part of that, you get to come along for the ride, because we'll be saying to you, right, we're going to be dealing with Rennes, Chamber of Commerce. We're going to be working with the International Renoir exhibition through you know, various museums and chambers in different parts of the world, including the US, actually. And I always find it quite amazing that we can sit here as Guernsey Chamber and be in touch with the Museum of Modern Art somewhere, because we've got a contact through our industry groups that allows us to reach out. And you'll see that in January and February, our speakers are global standard for the OGH lunches. We've got Matthew Bell in January, who's an international climate change expert who actually drafted the climate change UK law and worked for the government. And then in February, we've got Dr. Cleo Dumbia Henry, who is the chair of the World Maritime University, and we're bringing her over from Oslo. If bringing her over proves a problem, we'll obviously live stream her into the room. But, you know, people who have real gravitas and the highest level business experience, and through being a chamber member, you have a seamless way to be involved in that. So there are all of those avenues that you can use, and you don't ever feel that you have to choose some. Every part of every avenue is open to you. One of the most popular offers is the member newsletter, the e-newsletter, which goes out to 3,200 corporates. And we know that from the first lockdown, when we offered what was effectively an advertising platform rather than a news platform. So we would do our chamber newsletter, and then we'd do member-to-member newsletter. And the member newsletters can be as strongly promotional as you wish. In fact, we encourage it. It's what we want. We want you to be talking about your business, you know, how you're working and what you're offering. and you can go into granular detail about that. That's all part of what we can provide for you. And those worked really well. We know that people acquired new clients and they increased their brand presence and they really benefited from it. So we will immediately, now that people are working from home, we will go back to doing more of those. Just email office@guernseychamber.com and Laura can keep a note of who would like to be in that. The best thing to do with it actually is to send through probably only 250 words, but link it to your website. We'll put the link in so that you get a nice snappy little overview of what you're offering, and then people can click through and actually find out more about the full detail around what you're offering and see your website and anything else that you want to add there. Rather than, when we first started it, to be honest, we offered quite long articles because we thought people would read them, but that wasn't as effective as running 2 or 3 or 4 businesses in one newsletter with links through to more information. So that would be my recommendation. And if you're a small business and you struggle to write content, just tell us, we can help you. Not everyone is able to do that. Diane de Garis, our vice president, is online and will tell you that, you know, my accountancy skills are somewhat limited, I think we can say, Di. I mean, I do the numbers, but I wouldn't offer to be doing anything vaguely complex on a spreadsheet. Whereas we can write and we can put things together for you. And by the way, we might be saying to you at some point that you are very welcome to have that support. Can you help us a bit with something else? Because we are a not-for-profit and we love a bartering system where possible. I feel that I've talked to you an awful lot for the last half hour. Does anyone have any questions? Because I'm really happy to take them. Yes.
Hi, I'm Christine Banker-Jones from People Like Us.
Hi, Christine.
Hi. It was just really to make a comment, and I have a question as well, because I came to my first coffee morning and I was nervous as a new business, but just if any new people have joined, is very welcoming. And I actually met someone there that I've got on very well with, but she also made an introduction to me to the Women's Business Network, and then that snowballed to more introductions. So they're very much worth coming to, and I felt comfortable handing out my cards and things like that. So it was just really a shout out that don't be nervous, because everyone's very friendly. And the nicest thing I found is that people really want you to do well. So, there is that support there, whether there's a vested interest or not. And the other thing was my question. Say you're in town doing meetings, etc. Is there an opportunity at the Chamber of Commerce to come and sit down and, I don't know, do your emails or meet someone there? I don't know, because sometimes, especially with me doing recruitment, it's doing a little round robin of where's discreet places to meet.
Yeah, thanks. Well, thanks for the nice feedback, Christine. That's great to hear. You found it friendly. Yes, definitely the space is available. Actually, the challenge that we have is that the space is available for drop-ins, and we don't require pre-booking. But as Chamber's getting busier and busier, to be honest, there are occasions when there are meetings in progress, but we have a 1-hour meeting rule. So if you stick your head in and there is something going on, it will only last, it usually runs hour to hour, and it will almost certainly only last until the next hour. At that point, come back in. Now, I appreciate that isn't ideal if you're wanting to meet someone, to meet with them. On those occasions, it probably is worth emailing us and saying, look, I'm hoping to meet a client. I need somewhere quiet. Is the space available? And we can advise that, yes, certainly for an hour on whatever day, you can have that space. And we do have quite a lot of people who use it on that basis. There are conversations sometimes that you don't want to be having in a cafe where people can overhear you. Not for any particularly complex reason, but it's just more comfortable to be able to use the sofa in the office and the coffee machine's there, and it's very relaxed. Definitely that is a big part of the member benefit. You can also hire the space actually, and we keep the rate really low. It's £50 an hour. and you can have any sort of event there. I mean, we've had everything from private champagne receptions to art exhibitions. We host weekly fitness classes downstairs at lunchtime because it helps, you know, people who perhaps wouldn't regularly be able to pay the higher fees for other premises. So £50 an hour. And if you wanted something like a longer workshop session, we would negotiate an event price for you. So we want to see the space used as much as possible. Those of you who've been in there will know that we have downstairs also. And so even if upstairs is being used, it's possible to use downstairs, which is fitted out with chairs and tables, and we have a projector and various other things that you're always welcome to use. So I like to think on an event basis, it's a really good offer. And we're sort of mindful that we mustn't undercut businesses who are in the event area, but equally we are a not-for-profit, and it's, you know, we're really proud of the fact that we have secured those premises and we've got a very long lease on them. So we've made a big commitment to them, and it's good to see the space used.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Okay, I had a question. It's Jez here at Barclays. I was interested in your experience of hosting hybrid events, because I was at the sustainability event a couple of weeks back, and it was that combination, and just interested to hear what, you know, what that was like for you. What were the good things? What were the bad things?
Thanks, Jez. Actually, funnily enough, we touched on this. We had an exec meeting yesterday. We've got a fantastic executive board, by the way, and they all bring different skill sets at a high level to the organisation. So we discussed it, and I said, well, my personal preference is one or the other. I find it quite difficult for people to properly engage if you have people in the room and other people on a screen. And that's not a connectivity issue. It's almost a sort of mindset piece, that it's a strange combination of running an event in that way. So we do it because actually we are entirely inclusive, and there certainly are occasions where people say, you know, I can't get there for the event, but I really want to be part of it. And I have no issue with that. But if you're asking me how I think it works, I don't think that the parallel approach works as well as one or the other. My experience of running events in both ways for 3 years now for Chamber is that you get more dynamism if it's either entirely online or entirely physical. But we will continue to offer that sort of blended mix because it suits people. And certainly for the next few weeks, we'll be offering online events because that's the CCA recommendation.
Yeah, it's really interesting to hear. I think it's that balancing, because, you know, like you get that inclusivity, you get potentially a wider audience, even, you know, outside of Guernsey when it's a virtual event, but you don't necessarily get that richness in terms of the connections and the conversations. So there's definitely sort of trade-offs, I guess.
Yeah, and I think also there's a consideration around what the event is, who the speaker is. You know, certainly when it's someone who is known beyond the island, then probably having that parallel basis works really well. And one thing that we are really pleased about is the full acceptance now of streaming a speaker into a physical event. On a sustainability level, it makes me really comfortable that we can have global level speakers who don't have to do the travel side to be able to participate. There are occasions when we'll bring them over. For instance, you know, in February for the maritime event, if we can, we will bring her over because we're very lucky to have secured her. But generally, it means that we have access to amazing world-class speakers without the whole sort of travel element around sustainability of bringing them here. So that is part of the sort of equation when we consider how we're going to do it, definitely. So for me, there's still nothing better than getting lots of people in a room. And, you know, when we hold an event, and you'll all know we do in excess of 60 a year, but when you've got a room full of people, and we had 150 at the OGH month before last, the energy in that room was fantastic. And it's the same at Chamber when we do the Lunch and Learn series, and we have perhaps 50 people all interested in the topic, but also all talking to each other and swapping cards, and trying not to trip over my dog because he's been in the office lately. But there's a fantastic energy around that. And the conversations are really fascinating in themselves, because you never quite know what people are going to talk about. And I love that aspect of it also. And that only tends to happen in person, that particular part of the get together. Elaine, I don't want to put you on the spot, but I know that you are one of our newer members. And I would love if you felt able to share any of your experience of joining the Chamber team. By the way, I gather that the detail around what you offer is amazing. You even let people choose what music they would like when they're having your treatments, which is genius.
So yeah, it's been a very interesting couple of months for me, because I've just joined Chamber, and I've just set up at Beausejour, offering my aromatherapy treatments and a range of other holistic treatments as well. And obviously it was wonderful to come to Chambers and meet people, and like you say, have some really interesting conversations, meet some great people, and be able to talk about, kind of what I'm offering. And but it is very much in person. You need to be able to smell the oils and all this. So yeah, it's been a challenging few weeks, but things are picking up well, and it's really good. But yeah, it's been really good to. I will miss the in-person ones.
Yeah, thanks, Elaine. I don't think it'll be too long actually before we're all back doing those. I think it's slightly different this time. Yeah. But again, use the newsletters, use the various channels that we offer to keep your brand presence out there. That's all part of what we can do for you.
Yeah.
Lee, good to see you. Are you in Jersey, or are you here in Guernsey? I can see Lee Madden on the screen.
I'm in Jersey today. I was in Guernsey over the weekend. I'm coming over quite a lot more often now. Yeah, it's very interesting to see how both chambers work, and they work similar to well. I think the value of being part of an organisation that's going to offer support to many sectors is beneficial to us all. And we're very, very keen to not only come and work in Guernsey with you guys, but also to support the economy and the community as well. So I've enjoyed being part of Chamber, and I've just emailed you to say I've just forgotten how much value being part of Chamber can actually be. And I think this event has really highlighted that for me to come over there and come and say hello to you and sit down and have a coffee and talk about some of the solutions that we can all work together for, really.
Well, that's awesome, thanks. And I didn't even have to bribe you with a bacon roll to say that, did I? That was just...
No, it's fine. Yeah. Glass of wine, we can be different. I spoke longer.
Yeah, no, that's great. I mean, so that you're all aware, we've been working with Lee at GR8 for a while, because he's in the really challenging sector of providing staff for the hospitality and other areas actually. But you made some real headway, Lee, didn't you, in bringing together the Kenyan agreement where workers could come in from there, and various other initiatives that you've led. So we've been really happy to be associated with you on that.
Yeah, I'm also working now on solutions for facilities, for logistics, and we've also got a bespoke solution for healthcare as well. And then we've also got looking at solutions for the issue relating to accommodation, and where we're going to accommodate staff workers on a temporary measure whilst government find out or work out how they can look at the mid and long-term plan for accommodation. So yeah, so there should be some interesting things coming our way next year. But I must admit, I'm a Jerseyman through and through, and I've started coming to Guernsey, and I really, really enjoy Guernsey. It's a place. I'm getting turned.
I'll take that as the ultimate compliment. Thank you very much. Di, we at our exec yesterday, we were discussing the fact that obviously renewals are going out actually this week, aren't they? Invitations to renew, and all the benefits that brings. But also, we were discussing the fact that in slightly difficult times, monthly payment is quite easy now, isn't it? Do you want to just say anything about that?
Sure, I'll try not to get onto payment platforms too much, but we benefit from the fact that we use Go Cardless, which is amazing. So if anyone wants to sign up to pay by direct debit, they can then just on a request basis ask for it to be split into installments, and then hassle-free for you and for us, and the system does everything for us. So you just need to make sure you sign the mandate and then actually ask us to switch on installments for you. But yeah, super
That's
easy.
great.
Our absolute preference is people pay by direct debit anyway, because then everything is done for us.
Yeah, I mean, that's a really good point to make, because I think that when people first engage with Chamber, they think that we are an enormous team, you know, running Chamber. And when we say to them, well, actually, we've got a fantastic board of 9 directors, and we're actually a team of 3. It's interesting. We do all of the event organisation in-house. And we do all of the sort of comms and everything else that goes with it, as well as running Chamber as a small business. But I'm proud of that, because it means that we're sort of living what we're telling people. We are a small business, although we're registered as a not-for-profit. You know, we have to balance the books at the end of the day. We've had a difficult time ourselves in the last couple of years, because sponsorship income, which we rely on, has been down because of the uncertainty. But we're back in a good place now. And I do feel that we can talk about the challenge to business, because we are going through that. We don't receive any state funding. There's a bit of a misconception in some quarters that we receive some state funding. We don't receive a penny of funding from anybody in that quarter. It's all through membership subscriptions and, to a degree, some sponsorship. And I think, you know, all of the team, I think, are pretty proud of the fact that we run a large organisation on a very tiny resource. But that's very satisfying, even if we were a bit weary by this time in the year, to be honest.
I would say that's, we say that all the time to Kate and the team, that they do an amazing job with 3 of them. But my budget is to get them a 4th person next year. I think they genuinely need it. So I just hope that we can, you know, get enough event income, subs income in, that we can do even more.
I'm really excited about that, and that's the type of support that we have at Chamber, you know, as the office team, that